everyone, and welcome to Pacesetters 21 for 21 with Library Plus. And our next video is all about reading for wellbeing. In a moment you're going to listen to a conversation between myself and some of my wonderful colleagues at Pacesetter talking about books that have inspired us with our wellbeing. But first of all, a key message to start with. Reading can be so powerful and can have such a huge impact on our well-being. So that's our first message, and when you listen to the conversation, you'll hear more about that. Secondly, there's a book out there for everyone. The book that I shared, which you'll hear about in a moment, had mainly sketches and pictures, whereas others may choose books that have a lot more words in. And we're all different, and it's about finding a book that stands out and appeals to you. So have a listen, and hopefully it will inspire you in some way.
Okay, hi everyone. It's great to see all of you. So today we're going to be having a chat about some books that inspire us all in terms of our well-being. So this is for our next video for Library Plus and for Pacesetters 21 for 21. So I'd love to hear from you. So we all work for Pacesetter, all in the well-being on the well-being side of things, and also the sporty side. And I'd absolutely love to hear about a book that's inspired you. So I'll kick things off and share, and then I'll hand over to you guys. So the book that I wanted to share about is this one here. And it's a book that I received for Christmas. So it's The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy. I think I've pronounced his surname right. And I know Claire has also got, one of our Claires has also read this book. And I just absolutely loved it. And what I love about it is it's mostly pictures or sketches. So it's not a heavy read, but it's so inspiring. And I'm just going to read the intro because he explains it much better than I can. So the drawings are mainly of a boy, a mole, a fox and a horse. I'll tell you a little bit about them, although I'm sure you'll see things here that I don't. So I'll be quick. The boy is lonely when the mole first surfaces. They spend time together gazing into the wild. I think the wild is a bit like life, frightening sometimes, but beautiful. In their wanderings, they meet the fox. It's never going to be easy meeting a fox if you're a mole. The boy is full of questions. The mole is greedy for cake. The fox is mainly silent and wary because he's been hurt by life. The horse is the biggest thing they have ever encountered, and also the gentlest. They are all different, like us, and each has their own weaknesses. I can see myself in all four of them. Perhaps you can too. And what I love about this book is he said it's for, the author says it's for everyone. So whether you're 8 or 80, and you can just dip into it wherever. So you don't have to sort of start it from the beginning. There's just so many amazing quotes in there. I've taken some copies of them and got them around the house because they're so inspiring, especially at the moment. And I know this book's been a real hit during the pandemic because there's so many messages in there that are just fantastic. So it's very real, very moving. I found it really moving, and the kind of a big part of what it's about is about being kind to yourself, and which I think is so important, isn't it? And something we talk about a lot and in what we do in schools or with our young people. And there's so many quotes in there, and the one I could have picked all of them because they're all so amazing. But the one that I loved and I've decided to pick is, it says, "What do we do when our hearts hurt?" asked the boy. "We wrap them with friendship, shared tears and time till they wake hopeful and happy again." So I think that's a very, relevant quote for the time we're in at the moment. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. Have any of you read it apart from Claire? I know Claire. Yeah,
I haven't.
Oh,
really need to.
You've got to get it. It's amazing, isn't it? Like, it's just, so many amazing things in there. So yeah, that's mine. So I'd love to hear about you. So, okay, so over to you, Claire, next.
Okay, thank you, Kate. So my book is Eat, Drink, Run, and it's by Bryony Gordon. So I'm just going to start by reading the blurby bit on the back, so I think it describes the book really well. So it says, Bryony Gordon was not a runner, a loafer, a dawdler, a drinker, a smoker, yes. But as she recovered from the emotional roller coaster of opening up her life in her memoir, Mad Girl, she realised there were things that might actually help her, getting outside, moving her body, and talking to others who also found life occasionally challenging. As she ran, she started to shake off the limitations that had always held her back and saw she had actually imposed them on herself. Why shouldn't she be a runner? Okay, so this was kind of a book that really inspired me because I started running and I've never ran for anything in my life. I did a bit of dancing and a bit of netball as a young person, but definitely wasn't kind of a fitness person, but definitely struggled a bit with my mental health, my mood, anger issues a little bit maybe, and I was definitely a bit of a drinker. So I could really relate to her because she's very normal. She's kind of, I mean, she's quite wealthy. She's a bit of a swearer. So if you're not a sweary person, but for me, it was a real inspiration and it's got me moving. And that has definitely helped my well-being. I find that if I'm stressed, if I'm upset, if I just get myself out, and I'm not a fast runner, I don't necessarily run for ages, but even just like a 10-minute trot around the block just clears my head. And actually I have built that up now and I can run a bit further. And I'm definitely much healthier mentally when I'm moving, when I'm out there getting rid of my stress. So for me, this was a really useful book.
That's brilliant. That's great. I haven't heard of I haven't read any of her books before. So
yeah, the first one was called Mad Girl, okay. And it was basically her story because she was really unwell herself, and she's really honest, Kate. Like it's not a fluffy mental health story. She's very honest, and actually some of her stuff is some of her illness was quite dark. She went through quite a lot of dark stuff, and actually to see her come through it, and she actually ended up running the marathon for the Heads Together charity.
Oh, brilliant.
And she did a really amazing interview with Prince Harry where he opened up about his mental health. So all of that's in the book. So yeah, it's really worth a read. She's really inspirational and she's big. She's not like, she talks about her weight and kind of, you know, being a bit scruffy. And her first run was in like an old battered pair of Converse and her husband's Star Wars t-shirt.
Oh, brilliant.
It's quite nice.
Very real. Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you, Claire. That's great. Should we go to Tom next? Are you happy, Tom?
Yeah, I'm happy to go. So yeah, it's probably not your typical well-being story, but I find deeper meanings in it. So I've gone with Field of Shadows. It's written by Wardell, and it's about a gentleman's cricket team that went out to Nazi Germany before the Second World War. I'll read you the blurb first, and then I'll sort of go into a bit more. So it says, Adolf Hitler despised cricket, considering it un-German and decadent. And Berlin in 1937 was not a time to be going against the Fuhrer's wishes. But hot on the heels of the 1936 Olympics, an enterprising cricket fanatic of enormous bravery, Felix Menzel, who in the end turned out to be Jewish, somehow persuaded his Nazi leaders to invite an English team to play his motley band of part-timers. The team was the Gentlemen of Worcestershire, an ill-matched group of mavericks, minor nobility, ex-county cricketers, rich businessmen, and callow schoolboys, led by former Worcestershire captain Maurice Major Jewell. Ordered not to lose by the MCC, which is the cricket board, Jewell and his men entered the Garden of the Beast to play 2 unofficial test matches in Germany. And this is probably my favourite bit. Against a backdrop of repression, brutality, and sporadic gunfire, the Gents battled searing August heat, matting pitches, skill and cunning of Menzel, and opponents who didn't always adhere to the laws and the spirit of the game. For me, the kind of fight that these guys have to go through to get there, particularly the German players, was just incredible. And they had to be really brave, and it wasn't the norms then, but they did it. And yeah, there we go. That's me.
That's amazing. Thank you, Tom. Yeah, that's amazing. And I know that we did laugh when you said it was going to be a book that was about cricket, because we know that Tom loves his cricket. But that's great, isn't it? It shows that, you know, there's so many different types of books that can inspire us in terms of our well-being. Yeah.
I know it's a stereotypical boy thing, but boys don't really like to read. But this is about cricket and history, two of my sort of passions.
Yeah,
so
that's what it's about, isn't it? Yeah.
It's kind of, although they were from different countries, and obviously we knew they were going to fight eventually, but they had that sort of common ground.
Yeah.
And there was the empathy there as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh, thank you, Tom. That's amazing. Should we go to you, Jules?
Okay, so the book that I have chosen is Ant Middleton's The Fear Bubble. Most of you probably know Ant Middleton from SAS Who Dares Wins, but he's actually written 2 books, and I read both of them back to back. And the first one is called First Man In. There's really strong messages in them, some of it about his personal life, but he's actually, obviously on television you see this very strong man that's very courageous. He's obviously a very sort of, he's been through an awful lot in his life, but there's other stuff behind it as well that he's had to overcome. It hasn't always been very easy, because obviously you just see this sort of star now, don't you, on television, but actually what he's been through to get there is quite something. I'm just going to read a little bit from it. But fear is not his enemy. It is the energy that propels him. Thanks to the revolutionary concept of the fear bubble, Ant has learnt to harness the power of fear and understands the positive force that it can become. Fear gives Ant his edge, allowing him to seek out life's challenges, whether that is at home, pushing himself every day to be the best father he can be, or stuck in the death zone on top of the world in a 90 miles per hour blizzard. So this one talks about his climb of Mount Everest. It got pretty scary at one point. He thought he was going to die. But the sort of key message from it is, which it says on the back, is without fear, there's no challenge. Without challenge, there's no growth. And without growth, there's no life. And it just made me think about, sometimes we can get wrapped up in fear and be scared of trying something new, or even just trying something that we've done before. We can let the fear take over, whereas actually he says, look, just face the fear and sort of do it anyway. It was, I didn't think I would enjoy the books, because, I've got to say, I thought they were bought for my husband, and I thought they were stereotypically men's books, but actually I loved them. And I've actually lent the first one to Nick, our boss, because there were lots of bits in it that reminded me of him and how inspiring he can be as a leader. So I definitely, they're an easy read as well, which always helps me, because don't always want something too heavy.
Yeah, definitely. That's brilliant. Did you saw him speaking live, didn't you?
Yes, yeah. And again, really inspirational, very down to earth, considering he is an SAS man, but about the fear bubble. And actually I think for kids at the moment in particular, we are living in quite and adults, a scary time. And actually it's about just not living in fear all of the time. I mean, obviously we have got fears that are out of our control, but going back to the running, I with Claire and I run quite regularly together, and I would never have thought I could do 10k, but I faced that fear and I've done it anyway. It can be, it's easy to say it, isn't it? You do have to find that inner strength to do it.
Definitely.
But and we should be challenging ourselves sometimes as well. It's easy to sit in our comfort zone.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, brilliant.
I thought he was good as well, Jules, because in his program that he does, I can never remember the title of it. The one where the celebrities go and train.
Yeah, the SAS Who Dares Wins.
He was one of the advocates of making sure that they got some support as well, wasn't he, for their mental health? And he was very much about kind of trying to get them to open up and talk. Which I thought was really good, because there was a few young lads on that show that definitely needed to get stuff out.
And most of them on that have had some kind of traumatic experience. And I find it interesting that people that put themselves up for these massive challenges quite often have gone through something horrendous. I mean, I guess you could argue it makes better television as well, but Ant went through a lot as in growing up and through his life, and that was before he became famous. So I think there must be something in that. You obviously get an inner strength if you've had things happen to you, don't you? And then it's about harnessing that and using it in different ways.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, brilliant. Thank you. And over to you, Claire.
Hey, so my book is You Are Special by Max Ludico. I can never really say his name. I was given this as a teenager when I was kind of youth working with young children. And my youth worker just said, I really think you needed to read it. And actually at the time, it really spoke to me. And because I can still relate to that time, it still speaks to me now. So I am going to just read the blurb because it's such a beautiful story. You don't want to give it away. So it says, if you've ever wondered, what do others think of me? If you've ever felt judged by the world, if you've ever wanted to change only to please someone, then let this simple tale share a beautiful truth. You are special just the way you are. So every now and then there's a story that touches the heart of all who hear it, a story that speaks to the soul and says this is true. This is one of those stories. It's about the puppet Punchinello, and we're each him. The part of you that struggles to believe that someone treasures you, someone doesn't judge you by what you look like, what you have, or what you do, someone who loves you just because of who you are. It's a vital message we all need to hear, a message we need to share with others. You are special no matter what. And it is like, you can read it to children, you can read it to adults. My nana still reads it, and she's nearly 100. And it does just make you cry, like when you're really in that moment and you read it, and it only takes about 5 minutes. You can like keep it in your handbag or in your rucksack, and it's just suddenly makes you go, oh, okay. And then all those kind of fears that are nagging in the back of your head, or that voice that says you're not good enough, just kind of, it's calmed. And and even though like even through this job really doing the wellbeing things, like that voice isn't loud anymore. Like I know how to ignore it, but you still need like something like this every now and again, because particularly at the moment when we're not socializing and you're homeschooling, for example, and you're not used to it, you need someone or something to remind you that actually you're perfect the way you are, or you're all right, you don't need to change, just keep going. And so that's why it's my special book. And it is really tiny, like literally I read it the other day and was like, it really doesn't take long, and it's so beautifully illustrated as well. Like, it's gorgeous. Lovely. I recommend it to everyone.
Thank you, Claire. And I think that's a lovely way to end our chat together, actually, because that's what we're all about at Pacesetter, isn't it? You know, when we speak to our kids, especially in our wellbeing lessons, it's all about kind of saying, you're great as you are, don't change, be you. You know, we can always work on our wellbeing and work on ourselves, can't we? But actually, we always say that, you know, it's about accepting who you are, whether that's how you look or your personality or whatever. So that's a lovely way to end. So thank you all so much. It's been lovely to chat to you all. We've all got lots of reading to do now. We all need to read each other's books.
Yeah, definitely.
So with World Book Day taking place on the 4th of March, what a great opportunity to get reading. So don't forget about the digital book club for the love of books, which is a great way of reading and also engaging with other readers online as well. With World Book Day, we know that the children, it's a great opportunity for children to get reading, and something for the family as well. The children, usually get their book vouchers from school, but the library are also putting them in the children's select and collect bags as well. Do have a look as well at the website, the World Book Day website, which has lots of information and also some activities for all the family as well.